everybody. This is William Del Pilar, and this is the Rude Rundown. This is where I take a hard look at what's happening in and around the world of entertainment. It's a hard, quick look, and I hope you enjoy it. We've got quite the show for you. But before I go on, you can find this Rude Rundown as well as other previous ones and my other podcasts, including the Red, White, and Rude, which is the parent podcast of this clip. You can find that at grumblingsmedia.com. Make sure you bookmark it as well. You can also find us on YouTube, Rumble, Apple, Spotify, y Pandora under the handle Grumblings Media. So let's get down to it. My first topic here, Michael Caine, an elitist too afraid to confront his own government's free speech abuses and wrongful imprisonments, but has the spine to talk about us across the ocean. This is what I call selective outrage. Sir Michael Caine, he's 91 years old, phenomenal actor. I loved him in everything he did. He's an acting legend. But he quickly took the X to comment on the heated Oval Office clash between Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky with a concise, calm down, Trump. Bleep you, Michael. He has willingness to critique foreign leaders. Yet he remains conspicuously silent on the UK government's own issues, such as its crackdowns on free speech. You do a meme, you're going to jail. You rape a woman, if you're an immigrant, you're not even charged. You're not even investigated. Maybe you should be talking about that, Sir Michael. This is what you call selective bravery from a knight. With knights like him, UK would have been taken over eons ago. Look, he's a great actor. Italian Job. I'm trying to think of other ones. He's done so much that I've liked. I just can't think of anyone that sticks out. But here's my bottom line take. Caine has a right to his opinion because unlike the UK, you can give it in America without retribution. Well, unless Democrats are in charge. But things did get heated with Zelensky, but he brought it on himself by trying to use the media to get to Trump in terms of condemning Putin when Trump is playing the role of moderator. Trump's a mediator in this Ukraine-Russia war. It's not his job to side with a dictator like Zelensky over a dictator like Putin. Check out my clip, my other clip that I just did in talking about the celebrities who were defending Zelensky. Check out my Jeffrey Sachs, how I break down what he's saying in terms of who Zelensky really is. You'll get very surprised. Regardless of all this, though, Caine's comment is a bit rich, coming from a bloke who's never said a peep about the UK locking up folks for speaking their minds. Oh, he's happy to lob a barb at the Yanks. But when it's in his own backyard, he's suddenly all quiet. Typical posh lord move. Big voice for the world stage, but mum's the word when it's his own gas mess. Still, fair play. Those three words were spot on for a laugh. Typical elitism. Calm down, Trump. Shut the bleep up, Sir Michael. Which brings up all these knighthoods given to pajama boys. In their day, again, if they were true knights, the UK would have been conquered quickly and easily eons ago. Between Sir Michael Caine and Sir Keir Starmer, there's not enough testosterone to fill a thimble. Two knights too busy polishing their titles to grow a pair and stand up to their own law. The rude take 2. Walt Disney, Kathleen Kennedy finally bails. May Star Wars rise from the ashes. Kathleen Kennedy's tenure is about to come to an end. 12 years as Lucasfilm president, starting in 2012 after George Lucas tapped her for big promises and delivery. We got squat. Now her resume with E.T., Jurassic Park, and when I look at that, she was never the big honcho. Never. She was part of the team. She saw 5 Star Wars theatrical releases, and then they stopped. Remember, for those who aren't aware, Disney bought out George Lucas for $4 billion. And Mr. George Lucas, the leftist, they made sure that buyout happened right before big tax season, with more big tax increases was going to happen. So much for the pay your fair share. So the Force Awakens hit 2 billion. The Last Jedi split fans but earned praise, but yet Solo bombed. The Rise of Skywalker limped to 1 billion with mixed reviews, barely breaking even, and no film has dropped since 2019. We're heading on year 6. Unfulfilled hype defines her era. Wokeness defines her era. Ignorance and stupidity define her era. Kennedy's auteur style clashed with Disney's franchise churn. And, I've had issue with, I've taken film courses in college and I've had my issues. I got into it once hard with an auteur professor. I said, all right, let's go talk to the dean because I'm not going to have you knock my grade just because I don't believe in your auteur style. I was about 28 when I hit college, coming out of the military. So I wasn't about to take crap from anybody. And I wasn't picking a fight, but these auteur, however you say, how do you pronounce that? Let me see here. I gotta know. Well, I was right. It's auteur. Again, it clashed with Disney's franchise churn. They wanted to pump him out. Typical storyline that kids love and they eat up. Not her, but she stalled projects, a lot of turmoil, fired directors, think Solo, and episode 9, I guess. I can't remember. They renumber the stuff. The Trevorrow. They were steaming pieces of garbage. I guess the Mandalorian shown, but the Acolyte, oh man, they were talking about saying we're going to shove wokeness, we're going to shove LGBT, and we don't care. They thought it was going to be a natural hit just because of all the fanboys. It tanked, so expensive. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny tanked too. Even that's not Star Wars, was under her banner, earning $383 billion against a $300 million budget, losing $140 million. They try to split the blame between her missteps and Disney's rush. Bull. It was all her. My take, good riddance to Kathleen Kennedy. Star Wars had tanked hard under her watch, and the numbers don't lie. Her sequel trilogy kicked off strong with The Force Awakening. It raked in over $2 billion, but then it stumbled with The Last Jedi, splitting fans. I didn't even watch The Rise of Skywalker. That barely broke even relative to its hype. I'm just tired. Everything's woman this, woman that, woman this, woman that. I'm a man. I'm sorry. When I see the hero, sure. Hey, the Rogue, Star Wars Rogue, whatever that was great. I enjoyed that one. I think a chick led that one, so I didn't mind that. A good story you don't mind, but when you get this crap that they throw down, like this Skywalker chick was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then they emasculated Luke Skywalker, and since Mark Hamill has been emasculated in real life, he went along with it happily. The Rise of the Skywalker barely broke even. You don't spend as much money on that to barely break even with a Star Wars franchise. Her woke messaging has been torched nearly every Disney Plus Star Wars show. The Acolyte was a disaster. Axed after one season, one of the most expensive series ever made. And even the Book of Boba Fett floundered. And they were forcing diversity all in that. Then obviously the Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, a disgrace. It emasculated Indiana Jones. It killed off Indy's son in order to prop up a woman, Phoebe Waller-Bridge's Helena character, a character nobody asked for, nobody wanted, and nobody's going to go watching the sequel. They were trying to set her up for a new run of sequels with her as Indiana Hove. Disney needs to wake up. I'm not a male chauvinistic pig. I'm just tired of everything woke being shoved down my throat. There were some great female actresses in my time who are older now. Jodie Foster is one. Gina Davis. And I don't like her, but Susan Sarandon. They weren't woke. They just had great roles. Disney needs to wake up. Their bread and butter is young males with family values, not this woke nonsense they're choking us with. Kennedy's exit can't come soon enough. Rude take number 3. Snow White and the DEI Dwarves. This was a great one. So Disney has drastically altered its marketing strategy for the live-action Snow White remake. It's set for release in March. By the time you see this, it may already be out. And it's a response to the backlash against its woke, leftist, bigoted, anti-Semitic star Rachel Zegler. And I'll get to it in a second. So they did a trailer, and it was for about almost 70 seconds 47% of its 2-minute, 24-second runtime. But after widespread criticism, fueled by her dismissive comments she's made about the original release and controversial political statements, again, she's an anti-Semite, the trailer reduced her screen time in the trailer to just 17 seconds. 50% cut. So they're not even featuring her. They're trying to mitigate the negativity surrounding her. She called the original film outdated and misogynistic. It alienated fans. And then she took a knock at her co-star, Gal Gadot. She's an anti-Semite. In fact, I think the initial trailer has like 1.5 million dislikes against 100,000 likes on YouTube. And then the other trailer is very similar. Look, they're trying to course correct here, and including reducing her time and her visibility. And I guess the Seven Dwarves, there's an issue with them. Somebody would call them the Seven Hobos. Rachel Ziegler is a Latina Colombian descent. Yo soy panameño. We're kind of tied at the hip. And she's managed to torch every bridge to the original Snow White. I mean, just call it Snow Ho with her in the lead. She's trashing its legacy, calling it dated, misogynistic, and slamming the prince as a stalker. Her anti-Semitic undertones, she even took by taking digs again at Gal Gadot. She's a poster child for entitled actors who gleefully dismantle a beloved classic for a fat paycheck. There's no care for the record she leaves behind, but those days are fading fast. She has no financial hit to her name. Her last outing, Y2K, bombed. Her career is dangling, and this film needs to do well for her. She may be too dumb to realize it. And finally, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Sure as hell ain't Snow White. It's you, my evil queen. The Rude Take number 4. Losers go woke, go broke. Warner Brothers keeps trashing games and jobs until they get the memo. So Wonder Woman gets canceled. And the studio is shuttered. Now, this is the legendary studio, Monolith. It has done Middle Earth, Shadow, Mordor, and Fear. Fear back 25, 30 years ago, it was like one of the top games. It had a shelf life of like 10 years. It was that good. You know? And so they're shutting down here in San Diego. They're shutting down the studio here. I guess Wonder Woman was costing them over $100 million. Woke. It wasn't getting anywhere. And they're like, enough of this garbage. We can't afford another 100 billion or 100 million that y'all want to put into this game. We're just going to focus on Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones. So hundreds of job losses. Look, these job losses are partly the result of their own developers when they go public, bad-mouthing conservatives, bad-mouthing people who don't want to see transgenderism, LGBTQ in their games. Because parents, that's their job to talk about that. It's not a game's job to indoctrinate that. And look, they're stuck with a flop like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, $200 million loss. And then there's another game, The Multiverse, $100 million write down. My take, the cancellation of Wonder Woman and the destruction of a powerhouse like Monolith Productions, a legendary game. I think I played, I can't remember, it was some kind of one of the first crime noir thrillers they did. It's pretty scary back in the Xbox era when gaming was still starting to get its feet in technology. They deliver Game of the Year with winners of $1 million IPs. Again, Middle Earth, Shadow, Mordor. I played that. I have never seen the freaking ending because their game was so buggy on the Xbox. I couldn't, the final 5 minutes wouldn't play. But anyway, they validate go woke, go broke. They stop focusing on what made them successful, producing great games that entertain and instead chase political agendas, trying to indoctrinate players with ideologies that aren't their job to push. That's for parents to handle. They went from innovation and fun to preaching and torching, and it torched it for a failed experiment like Wonder Woman. They prioritize messaging over gameplay. When you prioritize politics over quality, you will tank. This isn't just a loss for gamers, people. It's a self-inflicted wound, proving that when you abandon your core mission, you crumble. Rude take number 5. Boobs, boobs, and more boobs. No more. Hooters financial woes. Look, Hooters is gearing up to file for bankruptcy in the coming months. Look, it's dwindling cash flow. Foot traffic is gone, and it's about 300 million. With about 300 million in asset-backed bonds sold, that's what's weighing them down. Store closures are in industry struggles. Look, the chain's trouble follows a closure of roughly 40 underperforming locations in 2024. And in their defense, Red Lobster, TGI Fridays, they went through this. They tried to pivot with frozen food lines. I guess Hooter Wings did not sell in the frozen food section. And new openings. They had 300 global outlets. They all now facing an uncertain future. My take, Hooters, an institution, sure. If you count leering at waitresses in orange shorts as cultural heritage, where else are prepubescent boys supposed to sneak their first peek at a woman's curves? Well, online porn now. That's what's killing them. The truth is, I never thought Hooters would hang on this long. But then I saw a pack of reporters who I worked with. I wasn't a reporter as they were, meaning I was building a startup business on the internet, and they worked for me. And then I saw them swarm the place and realized, okay, there's a place for awkward, sex-starved grown men that will always prop up places like that. These are the men that will you see later in the evening at strip clubs. That's when I realized I guess there is a market. That said, again, with porn flooding the internet, even their skimpy shtick couldn't last forever. It turns out wings and cleavage can't compete with a free tab in your browser. Rundown take number 6. Rest in peace, Michelle Trachtenberg. Much love on your new journey. So Michelle Trachtenberg passed away on February 26, 2025. 39, very young. I mean, oh gosh, yeah. Almost 20 years difference here between us. She's found unresponsive in her New York City apartment by her mother around 8 a.m. Well, it turns out she had a liver transplant months before her death. And though complications are speculated, no definitive cause has been established. A friend revealed that her recent hospitalization and acknowledgement of death as a high possibility because of that. She appeared frail before passing. My take, rest in peace, Michelle. We don't know exactly what happened, but it seems likely there was an issue with your liver transplant, maybe rejection, injection, or something else went sideways. But who knows? We'll never know, to be quite honest, because she's Jewish and they chose for religious reasons to skip the autopsy. I guess that's something in the Jewish culture. I'm not Jewish, but that's what my research came up with. So peace and love as you begin your next journey, Michelle. God bless. Rest in peace. Rude take number 7. Immortality on the horizon, but be careful what you wish for. The master switch protein AP2A1. Scientists in Japan found this protein and it acts like a switch for aging in cells. When they lowered it in old, worn out cells, those cells turn young and healthy again. But when they boosted it in young cells, those cells age fast. So it seems to control some kind of zombie cells that pile up as we get older, causing problems like arthritis and Alzheimer's. It's a big clue about aging, but messing with it can be risky, like accidentally turning off the body's ability to stop cancer. Right now, it's all lab stuff, but it's not ready for people. Now, this could be a key to slowing down aging someday. Expert warns this is in its early days. And it's being done in petri dishes, not bodies. So we don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. Look, my take is there's biblical longevity and modern regression. The Bible records individuals like Adam, Seth, and Methuselah living 930, 912, 969 years, living extraordinarily long lives, particularly before and shortly after the flood. And we've kind of regressed. I mean, Abraham living to only be 175, well, I'll take that. But if taken at face value, this regression from centuries long lives to our current 70 to 80 years, Psalm 90, verse 10, it could imply a loss of biological resilience that science is now looking at being able to reclaim. But I don't know. Living to 800 wouldn't guarantee joy, dementia, frailty, misery. If you're an idiot, tired of living the rat race, could mean a slow erosion of vitality. Could stretch suffering. not fulfillment. Be wary, folks. Longer life isn't the same as better life. The rude take number 8, Theranos. Fraud queen locked up tight. Holmes stays in prison. So the conviction of Elizabeth Holmes was upheld by the Ninth Circuit Court earlier last month, or in the middle of last month. It was a fraud conviction on 4 counts of wire fraud for lying about Theranos blood testing tech. Now, the Toronto case centered on Elizabeth Holmes' fraudulent claims that her company's blood testing technology, it could perform extensive diagnostics with just a finger prick. Boop. But she was deceiving investors and endangering patients with a device that never worked. So the court rejected her appeal, claiming her 11-year sentence for a $700 million scam was built on false promises. Now she has to pay $450 million or $52 million to be exact in restitution to 14 victims. That woman's going to be working in that factory her whole life. I'm kidding. She's never going to work in a factory. So to let you know, Theranos was the name of the company. It was founded in 2003. It hit $9 billion valuation because of her lies, saying a finger prick blood tester, she could do it all, figure everything out about you. By 2015, it was exposed as a fraud by a long investigation and reads like a drama by Wall Street investigators. And then the company collapsed 3 years later. My take, she was guilty of sin from the jump. She knew damn well her fancy blood testing gizmo was a glorified paperweight, yet she kept spinning her web of lies to rake in hundreds of millions. The evidence was overwhelming. She faked demos, doctor reports, and sold hope to investors and worse, patients, fully aware it was a sham. History's worst monsters aren't just the murderers. They're the ones like Holmes who dangle false hope in front of desperate people, knowing it'll never come true. People ask me, William, why do you loathe Obama so much? Because he was bringing false hope to Black Americans. They believed every lie he told, yet I, as a political analyst, I, as a Latino with both sides of the family, white to black, black to white, etc., I knew the lie. I could add 1 + 1 does not equal 3, Obama, and that's what he was selling. He was selling that potion that those sellers in the old Western time would come across and go, it'll cure everything. Elizabeth Holmes was doing the same. She's a vile excuse for a human, and 11 years isn't nearly enough. She should rot in that cell longer for the lies she toyed with and the trust she torched. Good riddance. Crew take number 9. Diddy's latest hit cancels out Chaos in. So attorney Anthony Rico quit Sean Diddy Combs' defense team. He's one of 6 attorneys, so you don't have to worry if you're a Diddy fan. He's got 5 others. He'll probably pick up 4 or 5 more, And Diddy's up for federal sex trafficking and racketeering case. He filed an motion in federal court to withdraw from representation. He's a high-profile lawyer. He was involved in the Bin Laden case. And he stated, quote, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs, consistent with the ABA standards for criminal justice, unquote. Again, he's got 5 remaining lawyers. He cited unspecified reasons protected by attorney-client privileges. So there's either a significant conflict issue or an ethical issue. So, I mean, it's an abrupt withdrawal, shrouded in mystery. All it does is feed to the gossip of celebrity. Heck, I'm talking about him. But his statement implies a fundamental inability to continue representing Combs ethically or effectively. Makes you wonder. He's facing 15 years if convicted, Combs is. He's pleaded not guilty. Maybe he doesn't like the fact they're going to rely on the racist Mann Act charge. I don't know. My take, Rico's dramatic exit isn't some casual I'm out moment. Lawyers don't ditch high stakes cases like this without serious cause, people. The odds are Diddy's been playing hide and seek, not with the sausage, but possibly with key evidence. And Rico may have sniffed it out, something damning enough to make him doubt the innocent man narrative. Maybe it's withholding proof of guilt. Maybe it's a lie too big to stomach, or maybe Rico just doesn't want his name tied to a sinking ship. Who knows? But obviously, he may have stumbled onto a festering mess. But one thing's clear. When a seasoned attorney like Rico fails, it's not because he forgot to pack his lunch. It's because he sees the writing on the wall and it ain't spelling acquittal. Rude take number 10. Abuse, sure, but those dollar signs sparkle too. The Menendez brothers' new trial. So LA County DA Nathan Hochman is opposing a new trial for Eric and Lau Menendez. There's a great Red, White, and Rude episode I have that I break it all down. You should check it out at grumblingsmedia.com under the Red, White, and Rude section. So they're both in prison here in San Diego, my own San Diego, at the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility. So he's rejecting their 2023 habeas corpus petition claiming new evidence of sexual abuse by their father, arguing a letter from Eric and Menudo members alleged allegations are admissible and or irrelevant from their 1996 first-degree murder conviction. So Hochman's office filed an 80-page response, released a video, the anatomy of the Menendez case. I'm going to have to check that out, and I'll get back to y'all. So for those of you guys who who have forgotten, they were convicted after 2 trials for killing their parents with shotguns in Beverly Hills, one of the most brutal murders ever seen in Beverly Hills. The Menendez brothers claimed for years of sexual and physical abuse by their father, a defense bolstered by their 2023 petition and the recent media love by Twitter morons. Look, former DA George Gascon was throwing a Hail Mary because he was going to lose by 20, 30 points. And he thought this could save him. So he says, I'll let him go free. That's the ultimate act of you TikTokers. Come vote for me. He got shellacked. So the brothers' family supports their release, and they're criticizing Hochman for dismissing abuse evidence and psychological context from the original trials. However, Kitty Menendez's brother, Milton Anderson, he says, go screw yourselves, people. They killed him for greed, and it was premeditated, not just abuse. And see, that's where I stand. My take, let's cut through that noise. Eric and Lau Menendez are guilty as sin of murdering their parents. There's no doubt. That's not up for debate. There's no dispute there. They pumped shotguns into Jose and Kitty in cold blood. So part of the motive was undeniably the lure of a multi-million-dollar inheritance they burned through. They started spending it like Monopoly money. That said, a new trial, I believe, may be warranted if their original defense was unfairly shackled. Evidence suggests the second trial sidelined much of their abuse claims. And that's partly because of a dated judicial bias that men couldn't be sexually abused. We know that is now junk, whatever. So, because of that, I can see the legitimacy for that, because the judge in 96, after they lost the OJ trial, they're like, we're not going to lose this one. So he limited abuse testimony, reflecting old school skepticism. So, but don't cry me a river. These guys premeditated a slaughter, and the cash grab stinks as much as the abuse excuse holds water. Justice isn't blind here. It's just squinting at the money trail. Rude take number 11. Alan Rickson, Reacher star and Unstable Gates critic. Look, Alan Rickson, the star of Amazon's Reacher, I used to watch it until he started going off the deep end. There's so much good movies from the world you can watch on Netflix, Amazon. I do a lot of watching in Norwegian, Swedish, Asian, Indian. Well, India is technically part of Asia, but I'm talking about Chinese, Japanese, and then Indian films. So I do a lot of watching of these films. So I don't need to worry about missing something like Reacher, because I'm not going to support a bipolar moron. So he called Congressman Matt Gaetz a mother bleeper and an adversary in a GQ interview, highlighting the feud stemming from their time as classmates in Florida. Rickson criticized Gates' character, expressing disbelief that Florida's panhandle continued to support him. They support him because they believed in what he was doing, you moron. And he contemplated entering politics. That bipolar fool, no. And I'm not knocking bipolar people. It's just this guy, there's times that I'm like, are you off your drugs with some of the stupid crap you say? You know, he questioned Bernie Sanders. You know, he's too nice. That's why he loses. No, Bernie's a liar. And he gets getting called out, and he's weak and spineless. All millionaires on billionaires are all bad. Now all of a sudden Bernie's billionaires are all bad because he's a millionaire. So Gates says that actually their friends, their families are friends. He stated Rickson's mother, a computer lab monitor, loved him, and that he attended the father's retirement party. So there's some kind of past cordiality. That's why I'm wondering, dude, are you taking your bipolar pills? He's a big guy, scary guy. He'll pound you into the ground. He is an accident. My take, his outspokenness underscores his own mental instability, as he's been candid about his bipolar disorder with a severe suicide attempt. Stay on the drug. I mean, when he starts talking like this, I'm like, are you taking your drugs, your pills? He's a volatile nut job with mental health struggles and an unfiltered public rant that position him as a ticking time bomb. I mean, this guy's going to be a sensational news when he has a meltdown. He needs to shut it. And he's also going to cause viewership in the Reacher series. Right now, still doing well, but people are starting to pick up and they're like, I've had enough of you. His hate and bigotry will eventually cause people to look elsewhere. I have. I just don't deal with that nonsense. Right now, I believe it's the popularity of the Reacher brand carrying the show, as everything Rickson has touched has not been successful financially. He had a couple of mediocre hits, but nothing successful. Rundown 12, woke layoffs, tears for their own, cheers for conservative losses. A BioWare veteran, Mark Dara, has criticized gamers for celebrating layoffs at the studio following the lukewarm reception of Dragon Age, The Veilguard. Look at a YouTube video titled, Your $70 Doesn't Buy You Cruelty. He argues that while fans have the right to dislike a game and express their opinions, targeting individual developers or rejoicing in job losses is aligning to cruelty. He talks about we don't know the internal circumstances. Bro, you don't know the internal circumstances of any other job. And I have worked multiple jobs. They all tend to be the same, different setting, same issues because of human nature. You know, he highlights the toxicity in gaming fandom, particularly with fans who harass developers on personal social media or celebrate layoffs. He noted that the layoffs in BioWare that followed Veilguard's release and affected senior talent, well, that reflects a broader industry issue where developers bear the brunt of corporate decision. He calls for empathy, arguing that spending money on a game doesn't entitle fans to harm others and that such behavior is disproportionate to the stake of a video game. I have my own take, but I got to start off with this. These developers are the first one. We don't need you on television too, with the Alkalite, for example. We don't need you. We don't want you. If you don't like our transgenderism, if you don't like our LGBTQ, ABZ, X through XYZ, whatever crap, if you don't like the fact that men are women, despite the fact that they still have a schlong, whoosh, 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 walking in female locker rooms. If you don't like none of that, we don't need you. Go to hell, you bleepers, you this, you that. I hope you die. I hope you this. That's the people that he's trying to defend. That's how they treat us. They're the ones who have come after us. Something happened in the gaming world. They learned the leftist tactic of boycotts. Why? The influencers that we follow and listen to for game reviews and things like that, they don't like that crap. So they attack everybody on our side. And now they're whining when people aren't unhappy when they've lost jobs, when the game tanks. The BioWare developer makes a fair point, though, about unnecessary cruelty. Harassing individuals or cheering job losses over game can be excessive and misdirected. Hey, I'm happy Joy Reid got fired because she was a racist, period, flat out. However, not everybody deserves that. But it's hypocritical for Dara and similar voices to decry this behavior when many in the gaming industry, including BioWare circles, have silently and openly supported the cancellation, deplatforming, and even violence against conservatives over the years. From BLM-linked murders to the Trump assassination attempt and countless lost jobs due to wrongthing, these same folks often celebrated or ignored harm when it suited their politics. The call for grace is hollow. It rings hollow when it's only extended one way. And let's not forget these developers aren't bearing the brunt of the corporate decisions as he claims. Them coming out and condemning conservatives, bragging about indoctrinating your kid and you can do nothing about it is a big reason sales are collapsing, and the fact these developers aren't creating great games. They're not bearing the brunt. They're creating the issue. Focus on making a great game with goals to push yourselves and give us a game worth the hundreds of millions your corporate masters put into it that you undermine and help destroy. And those hundreds of millions they put in include your fat salaries. So stop trying to indoctrinate and deliver an ideological message while attacking gamers. You do that and make a good game, a great game, and maybe your games will actually sell. And as they say in Tinseltown, that's a wrap, folks. But before I go, well, first of all, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and share this show. But before I go, the overall bigger picture, do not forget again to like and share this podcast and bookmark grumblingsmedia.com. Hit us up on YouTube, Rumble, Apple, Spotify, y Pandora with your takes. Tell me where I'm wrong, where you disagree. We are under the handle of Grumblings Media at all those outlets. That's it. I am William Del Pilar. Oof. Stay rude and stay real.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.